Hey guys, it's Mr. Ganter here. I thought I'd do notes a little bit different this way. Make a little video for you guys instead of sitting there and kind of waiting for everyone to get caught up. You can kind of go at your own pace and try to change up the notes a little bit here for today after this great Cubs W. So pretty jacked up about that. So anyway, to start off, hope you have a great day and I hope you enjoy this awesome video that I'm making at the very moment. So today, when you go under myprojectleadtheway.org, we're going to have activity 2.1, which is isometric sketching. And we'll be looking at the oblique pictorial PowerPoint, which you should be able to find under as a resource for you. So I'm going to go through that now after you have taken that line convention quiz. So we're looking at isometric and oblique pictorials. And these drawings are really important for us to show kind of the best way of how to depict our image to other people. So, like I said, these pictorial drawings are make two-dimensional illustrations of a 3D object. So we're going to try to show three faces at one time and provide a realistic view of the object. So we have isometric, and this one's really probably the most important of the three here. We will be doing this one the most. Isometric is the most common view. Then these oblique views we will use from time to time as well. The oblique cabinet is probably more common just because they cut off a little bit of these edges, and the oblique cavalier here is a little bit more extended. This is supposed to show a greater depth or the total width of this object. And then we have the perspective drawing here, and as you can see, perspective, these lines all kind of go to a general point somewhere up over here, and that's what perspective drawing is for. So these are just a couple of examples that we will use to show objects in attempt to show them in a 3D manner. So oblique pictorials, an oblique pictorial starts with a straight on view of one of the object's faces, and which is often the front face. And now I've tried to mention this a time or two, but the front view, and you can kind of see it as this is the front view, as you can see it right here. This is what your front view is for that. The front view we're going to get into a little bit more here quick about the best way to choose your front view, and really choosing the front view is really important because it sets up your top view, what you would see it from up above, as well as then your side views. So you want to make sure everything is angled and parallel, and we have sketching graph paper to help you with this, so that makes it nice and easy. And you definitely want like 30-degree, 45, and 60-degree angles. Help you make this seem all in line and all going kind of towards the same spot. Makes it seem more 3D. So we'll go through that a little bit more here quick. But so the two main oblique pictorials that we will be using are Cavalier and Cabinet. As I scroll down a little bit, but the main difference, as you can tell here, is just kind of the depth here. So like how far back this goes opposed to how far back the cabinet goes. Okay, so that's what we'll be using that for. By the way, I hope you are taking notes. I kind of forgot to mention that, but obviously we take notes in class. You would take notes on this video as well. So basically, the cavalier oblique makes the object appear deeper than it actually is. It's actually trying to show the depth perspectively with everything else, but the cabinet oblique, just due to how our eyes are, we're kind of used to not seeing that third dimension as well. As I'm moving my hands here and you can't see that, but moving that third dimension as well, we're not used to seeing that. So this gives us a little bit more of a realistic view, and it doesn't appear quite as distorted when we're looking at our depth portion of the drawing. So this is just going to kind of walk us through how to go through drawing this picture. And I actually have that worksheet for you here too. to work on and practice just to kind of get it down. I think it's important to go through that process at least once. So you're like, oh, what? I actually did that, as opposed to just expecting to know it. So this glass box, you can see that these are kind of our construction lines, if I was using our line convention term there, to try to show you a process of making this object. So oblique pictorials, we're going to use our overall width and our overall height to kind of show us here. So we got, this is 1 block, 2 blocks wide, as well as 1, 2, 3 blocks tall. So 1 block they're going to use is 4 squares. And so we have 1 4 square, 2 4 square, 3 4 squares, and then 2 over to show you the overall height and depth. So that's kind of how they're going to start by making this. So you want to then complete the box by sketching depth lines to the overall depth of the object at a given 45-degree angle. So that should fit within your sketching pad here, but you got the 45-degree angle. Your cavalier oblique, excuse me, sorry, is going to be a little bit bigger and more depth. And then this one is going to be about half that depth. So construct the lines to identify the edges of the object's face that occur in visible boxes. So that's, they're showing right here, this frontal view is this in this L shape, and they're going to say, okay, make this line L like this. And honestly, I don't necessarily think that they need to walk it up to this or walk it out each step by step to this depth, but they are. And then it says, draw that top little box here from that top view that you would see up above to give your depth. Once again, cabinet and cavalier have your hats. Really, they're drawing this cavalier first, it appears. So then we want to sketch points and construct lines to identify the edges of the object and face that occurs. So we're kind of hashing out this outside port of the box again. And then we want to do the construct lines to identify the edges of the object's faces that occur on the visible surfaces of the box. So right over here, this edge, can I see it? I'm going to have to draw that in right here, highlighted. Once again to the full depth and a half depth. So continuing, we want to use the object to trace over the construction lines to delineate the edges of the object's face and occur the visible boxes of the surface. So right here we got our object lines here to show the outermost portion of the L shape, if you will. So these construction lines are just to help you identify them so you can tell where the outside of the object is. And then they're going to fill in these lines here to make and fill in that third dimension of the object. Now that you have these edges, fill that in from here to here, giving all your edges that full depth, and this construction lines are less prominent. Now we're going to go into the cabinet view, which is our half depth, and we're going to be making this one now. So, oops, sorry. So now we're going into that. The cabinet is at half depth, so we're still going to do the L. Notice this is like a dot shading. The right side has right horizontal shadings, and the top views usually have no shading, just to try to show like the sun coming in from that action side. So here are some examples of oblique pictorials. Trying to show you that the shading on the frontal is usually similar to the top, which doesn't have any, and the right side will have a little different. If you can notice that there with this interlocking pavement concept, and then also with the right side shading of this guitar is different than the side shading of the guitar as well, or a game system controller, I guess. Now, isometrics are the next big idea. This means equal measure. So we have 120 degrees here, that's all the same, and 30s and 30s. Okay, these will all share a single point here of the faces. So that's the top, front, and side view. And this is the one we're going to use a lot in our multi-view sketches, which will be coming very soon. So once again, most of you would know this easily. Our width is how wide, our height, and our depth. Those are things that kind of expect. I have seen exam questions on those as easy as they seem. Now we're talking a lot about the front, right, top view, and this is kind of that angle. They're trying to show the angle of a different one. So this is your different orientations to show you. Then this is what the left side and the right side would look like of this object, still having the same top and frontal view. And this is really a really big important slide, so make sure you understand this, but is how do we select the view? We want it to be in its most natural position of use or use. It best shows the shape and characteristics and contours of the object. It has the longest dimensions, the fewest hidden lines, and the most stable and natural position. So if I go up to this, it gives me the largest dimension. It gives me that's a natural way for it to sit. It wouldn't sit right here on this edge that easy or anything like that. I don't have any hidden lines. I don't have any ideas like that, so that's why that's the frontal view. And really this longest dimensions are really nice big idea. Best shape, characteristics, and contours is a really nice idea. Hidden lines is a good guideline for you. Sometimes you'll put it in a multi-view sketch and realize, oh wait, it's not in its best because I have too many hidden lines in my other views. So sometimes that'll help you. So anyway, we're going on to this orthographic structure. If you look at this shape right here is my widest dimension, right here, like it showed us. Its natural position, how it would sit, like it's not really going to sit on this. It could be a little tipsy. There's no hidden edges. If we're looking at it from this way, you would still see this cut clearly. There's not like any hidden edges, whereas this other side, you would have hidden lines over here to show this cut. Not as good as a frontal view as this side is over here. So that's why this is going to be our frontal view. Once again, they want you to use a box method to go through this. Once again, if you need to pause or look through the slides on your own, that's fine. I just want to make this video for time purposes. And then, keeping proportion estimations into play is also very important. So when you get a little out of whack, it doesn't look quite 3D, whereas it looks nice and clean here. I will pretty much always let you use grid paper. And show them they have the following examples of isometric sketches with these here. Sometimes when we get into our circles and shapes, it gets a little bit harder. So here's an example of the iso sketching. We're going to do this object here. We have our construction lines first. So each of these little boxes is going to be one of these boxes here. So we got 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3. We have 1.5 here up, it looks like, down, and that's going to be our start off for making this. So now we're going to draw in the outside edge faces. Your basic object lines is what we're looking for there. All right, make them a little darker. Make sure you have it all squared away. Then you're going to shade it, just like we talked about the sides as well. You want to shade this one so that each face has its own shading. And now we're going to do these boxes. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3 over, 1 out here, 2 on top. Oops. And I'm running out 15 minutes, so I am kind of scooping through here quick. So you're going to get your outside edges. You're going to get your edges here. This is an object line, object line. Those are actual cuts in the object here. Draw that a little bit more, tonal shading. and you get a final result where we have one edge is shaded one way with your picture